Hi guys, MrRoflWaffles here. This video is going to cover everything you need to know about the upcoming update to Cold War launching with Season 4. We've got new guns, new stuff for Warzone, new stuff for MP, and a first look at the upcoming zombies map, Mauer der Toten, and a first proper look at what it actually looks like, and more. So stick around, but first, a word from today's sponsors, Techland. In case you missed it, loads of new details about Dying Light 2 were recently revealed in a new show called Dying to Know, and here's a high-level overview. Dying Light 2 is a massive open-world zombies game full of parkour, brutal combat, and a really rich story. The choices you make as you play have a huge impact on the future of the city that you're inside and the weapons and traps at your disposal, and you can approach each new encounter or mission in a whole variety of different ways to make the experience fit your playstyle. They've got a really cool day-night cycle feature to give you more options for how to strategize as well, and on top of all of that, it's 4-player co-op, so you can join your friends and see how different their world is to yours. It's available for pre-order now, so check the link in the description, but if you can't wait and want to get some zombie slaying done today, Dying Light 1 Platinum Edition is currently on sale for 75% off, which includes every single DLC and skin pack ever made for the game, and is, to be honest, a total bargain for that price. So, like I said, head down to the description and get yourself locked and loaded to play some Dying Light. Thanks again to Techland for sponsoring this video. Alright, let's get into the Season 4 news, starting with 5 new weapons. First up, we've got the MG82 LMG, which is being added to the game free, and you unlock it at tier 15 of the Battle Pass. You've also got the C58 Assault Rifle being added, which is at tier 31 of the Battle Pass. And alongside those, you can also unlock 3 more weapons in other ways via in-game challenges, or picking up a bundle with a unique blueprint version in the store. And those weapons are an OTS-9 SMG, a nail gun, which is like a precursor to the version that we saw in Black Ops 3, and the Mace melee weapon. 4 MP maps are also being added, and I think the most anticipated one is Hijacked, because it's a remake from the original Hijacked of BO2, and that's going to be a 6v6 map at launch. Later in the season, we'll get Rush as a 6v6 map, and there are 2 other launch maps. One is Amsterdam, which is for 2s and 3s, and the other is Collateral, which is for 12v12, or Collateral Strike, which is a 6v6 version of it. There are 3 new operators, some of which did leak. One of them is Jackal for the Warsaw Pact, another is Salah for NATO, and finally, the one and only Weaver, who's also a NATO op. As far as modes go, One in the Chamber is being brought back at launch, as well as Capture the Flag in season, and we're also getting multi-team satlink at launch. Finally, we're getting a new score streak. It's the hand cannon, and I mean, it's just basically a powerful pistol. Cool. On to the potentially more exciting stuff, zombies. Lots to talk about here. The Zoo map is being added to Outbreak as a new region, and it's going to have new Dark Ether story intel, and it seems like it might have new world events alongside things like the Order showing up as well. The addition of this Zoo map is also going to bring with it the new Outbreak Easter egg that's coming in just a few days now called Operation Excision, or I guess it's not called that, but it's revolving around that in the story, and that's going to be a narrative prologue to the round-based map Mauer der Toten coming in mid-season, so expect that around the 15th of July. And alongside that, Treyarch say that fans of D Machine and Firebase Z will feel right at home in Mauer der Toten, which sets place after the events of Excision, where players take on new terrors in war-torn East Berlin after a devastating zombie invasion has overtaken the city. The zombies team will reveal more soon, including plenty of new twists, turns, and terrifying undead threats, but for now, we've got this lovely screenshot to look at. You've of course got some very obvious things going on here, such as the lovely German architecture, that big Korba sign, but one thing that I'm really hoping is being hinted is that that water tower is going to end up having some kind of callbacks or Easter egg references to the Easter eggs that were associated with the water tower in Blood of the Dead. If that's the case, we may well be able to actually get up on that roof. I mean, that Korba sign has like a zombie, it looks like, hanging over the side of it, so if the zombie can get up there, then maybe we can too. And the sandbags on the left-hand side also just look so sus. That looks like something that you're going to be able to go behind and shoot down at zombies approaching this area from, so in my mind, that's kind of a clear sign that we're going to be able to get on the roofs, which is really cool. We also see a guard tower on the right-hand side, and obviously this map, Mauer der Toten, translates to Wall of the Dead because it's set in East Berlin, and what's in the middle of Berlin? The Berlin Wall. So wouldn't surprise me if we end up going through some kind of tunnel system under the wall potentially, or something like that in the Easter egg. And that would kind of line up with the fact that we've already seen the subway system hinted in the previous trailer, and that was our first look at the map actually. So keep an eye out for something like this when you get to play. And the fact that those windows are lit up as well on the left makes me kind of think that maybe we'll be going in that building too. So this could be a pretty expansive map. I'm quite excited about this. And the final thing to mention about the screenshot is on the right-hand side, you've got this purple stuff going on. Leave your thoughts in the comments down below as to what that actually is. Now, you may think we're done because we're done talking about the screenshot, but we're not. This announcement actually poses a much bigger question for Cold War Zombies. You see, like 4 or 5 months ago, I made a few videos talking about this 4chan leak, which seemed to confirm the name of Firebase Z before it had been announced, and told us that the map was split into 2 sections, one with kind of an outpost area, military compound, and the other being like the village spawn area. And the leak went on to say that this upcoming DLC, this Berlin map, was going to be called Mauer der Toten. And it is, like 4 months later. It also said it's going to be set in East Berlin during the 80s, and it is. It said there would be outside streets paired with tiny spaces on the inside of various buildings, and that appears to be true. And it also said that it would feature chunks of both Kino der Toten and Verrückt, which we don't know if it's true or not just yet, but if it is, that's going to be insane. Now, I would say temper your expectations a little because they have got a few details wrong so far. For example, they said that maps would be in the Battle Pass, which hasn't happened, and they also said that Firebase Z was going to have a muddy water area, which never happened, but maybe that just got cancelled in dev because it was too difficult to implement or something. I don't think that error necessarily means that this leak is wrong. I mean, they got the map name right so early on and a bunch of other details. So I don't think that we can discount this at this point. And the thing that is crazy is they say that there is a third map called Spusk Starly set in a glacier on the base of a huge snowy mountain. This directly contradicts the story that's been flying around the internet in the last few days that they've actually cancelled any further DLC maps for Cold War, and instead Berlin will be the last Zombies map that this game gets, and all the other Zombies content will be ported to Vanguard instead. And I haven't covered this story so far on my channel because honestly, I just don't believe it to be true. I think that that leak is wrong, and there are a few reasons for that, some of which I don't want to talk about here, but one of them is just blindingly obvious. It's that it just doesn't make sense to make an entire map for Cold War and then have to do all the work porting it to the next game, and then have what would otherwise have been your season finale as the first map in a new arc in the next game. I get that Treyarch are working on Zombies for Sledgehammer, but thinking of it from a narrative perspective, it doesn't make sense. We'd be left on a cliffhanger for months and months and months with no reasoning behind it other than, oh, we just thought that it would be better in the next game. Like, no, it's just not going to happen in my opinion. Also, they've developed it for the Cold War engine. You think they're just going to copy paste it into the Modern Warfare engine, which is what the next game is reportedly going to be running on? I think that's a pretty big assumption about how possible it is to do stuff like that in game development. And we now have this post that we can kind of cross-reference with and say that, okay, I mean, this thing's got a load of stuff right. It even got the Samantha skin, right, which just came out a few weeks ago. So maybe we are getting a DLC 3 after this upcoming DLC 2 Berlin map after all. Now, this might confuse some of you because in one of my most recent videos, I said that DLC 4 might have been cancelled, and I still think that is true. I think that we're going to be getting Berlin and then one more, but I don't think there is space or time for them to put in another map now, and so we'll be getting a 3 DLC cycle with 4 maps total, including D Machine, as opposed to what people are reporting, which is only 2 DLCs total because they say we'd be ending at Berlin. Also, another point on this is if they were going to make Berlin the last map, you'd think that they'd actually announce that. Like, it would be pretty hyped. They'd want to build up massive expectations for it, and they've just put out a post talking about Berlin, and there's no mention of it being the final Zombies map for Cold War. So yeah, that's my 2 cents on that. I'll leave you with one final thought, and that's that the 4chan post does also mention Zombies Chronicles 2, which I haven't really talked about too much on the channel so far because it's still so far out, I would presume. But if we do end up getting a Spusk Starly Glacier map some point in the future for DLC 3, then I'd say that Zombies Chronicles 2 is really strongly on the cards, which is a crazy thought. Anyway, hopefully you guys enjoyed the video, and thanks once again to Techland for sponsoring. Click those description links, people. I'll see you next time. Bye for now.